As we look at other energy sources that we might be able to consider using on our moon outpost, one of the other options may be hydropower. So let's go ahead and explore that, because you're going to do an engineering project today related to hydropower. So what you see on the screen right now is a water wheel, and that water wheel is just constantly moving, and it actually hooks into a generator or a some type of a power unit, and that creates power for whatever is needing that power. So again, we're going to go ahead and do this possibly for our moon outpost. So what is hydropower? Hydropower is actually just a renewable energy source. Hydro means water, and so hydropower means just simply something that gets power from water. So let's look at a couple different options. You see some on your screen right now, and let me actually just blank out my screen now. My screen won't move, so I'm going to go ahead and just move myself out of the way. So we have lots of different water wheels that you see on the screen. So let's go ahead and look at the background of the water wheel. And if you think about them, they've probably seen a couple of them around in China. So the background of a water wheel, let me move my picture again. Background is just a water wheel. It's just simply one of the oldest known sources of power. And as the water wheel spins, it spins a stream of water. And it really is just being pulled down by gravity. So that's the cool thing about it. Now, the one thing to think about, I just said gravity, and as you know, it's microgravity on the moon. So that's something to consider when we're doing this. You might have to create a different option. So anyway, it has paddles or blades, and those the very first one was used back at about 4000 BC. So more than 2,000 years ago, farmers were using water wheels to grind wheat into flour. And the gears of the wheel just ground the wheat really tight, so then you could use it for bread flour. So water wheels are a type of kinetic energy, and it's just simply moving the water to perform the mechanical work that you could do, that you might have to do manually. So this is kind of a really cool way of automating things. So water wheels over years have been used for powering farm equipment and drive pumps, which basically are anything that requires up and down or movement of something. Trip hammers, saw timber, grind grains into flour. You can see them all over the place. In New York, between New York and Canada, the Niagara Falls actually powers a hydropower electrical plant, and that provides energy to everybody that lives in that area, which is really cool if you think about it. So anyway, if the town has been near water for whatever reason, like the one I just explained in Niagara Falls, New York, the water wheel can be put into place because of that water source. So it's just something to consider. So let's go ahead and move on. There are 3 different types of water wheels. There's a horizontal, there's an overshot, and then there's an undershot. So in this case today, we're going to actually work on an overshot. That's the one you're going to design. So 3 types of water wheels, and like I said, you can see what's on the screen. We're going to go with the one that's in the middle. Let me go ahead and point that out. We're going to go with the one that's in the middle. Okay, so again, the world's very first hydroelectric power plant began operating in 1882, so that's a really long time ago if you think about it. And what it did is it took that water and it changed it into electrical energy. So hydroelectricity, just like the one in New York, between New York and Canada, using Niagara Falls as the water source, it can be used to power lights, heaters, appliances like your washer and dryer, and televisions. And believe it or not, it could even power your video games and your computers. So it's kind of interesting if you think about it that way. So in today's activity, you and your team are going to design a model of an overshot vertical water wheel. So don't get too crazy yet about saying, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that. Because engineers, we're going to build a prototype, not the real thing. So we're going to make a prototype. And I've actually designed a prototype here. This one only has 2 paddles on it, but you're going to test all different paddles and placement of the paddles on your water wheel. The teacher's going to go through how to build these water capture devices, and remember, the big trick is as it spins, it picks up the water. So somebody's going to be holding water above it, it picks up that water, and it spins. So you're going to be testing different ways to do that using your water wheel. They should already be set up. There's holes in the ends, so that way it will spin on a dowel. If you were using a really short bottle, a chopstick works extremely well. So these are just, again, a prototype to test to see how does this actually work. So a couple things to consider today. As you're testing your design, I've given you a water wheel calculation sheet that you can use, because this way, if you're writing down all of your information and you're testing just like real scientists and engineers do, you are figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, does it mean we failed? No, absolutely not. It just means we have just figured out something that doesn't work quite as the way we want it to. So as you explore this, take your time. You may choose that you need to add extra water capture devices onto your water wheel, onto your bottle, or you might need to take a few away. Again, look at the water calculation sheet the water wheel calculation sheet, because you want to use that as a guide to help you figure out which is going to work the best for you and your team. So I wish you the best of luck with this today. Be careful as you're testing. You don't want to test directly over the floor, because that will make things a big mess. Test over a sink, test over a big plastic box, or test over a bucket, or even perhaps test outside if that is an option. Again, it will make a mess. It's just plain water we're using right now, so good luck with this. Have fun with it, and keep in mind, in the back of your mind, is this something that I could use on our moon outpost later in the week? I'll catch up with you a little bit later.